Okay, well that's us at 4 o'clock now, so I think it's probably best that we make a start. I've turned off the lobby, so if we do have people joining us a wee bit later, they'll be able to come in without any interruptions popping up on the screen. Just before I hand you over to Claire from Call Scotland, I should also mention at this point we're really lucky to be joined by one of our senior education officers, Fran Foreman, as well. Fran, do you want to pop on and say hello?
Thanks, Eva. Hi, really looking forward to this session today with you all, and I think it will be full of lots of really useful information, and it's fantastic that it's recorded.
Thanks, Fran. So Fran and I will be keeping an eye on the chat during this session, so if you do have any questions or any comments or just anything that you want to share with us, please do feel free to type it into the chat. And at key points throughout the session, Claire will pause to take some questions. There may also be opportunity, depending on how many people join us, there may also be opportunity to pop your hand up and turn your microphone on to ask a question at key points as well. So I think that's enough from me just now. I'm going to mute my microphone and I will hand you over to Claire, so enjoy. Thank you, Claire.
Thanks very much, Eva. Can I just double check that you can hear me okay? I've got my microphone turned on.
Yes, sounds clear, thanks.
Okay, lovely to see you all here this afternoon. Thanks very much for joining us. As Eva said, my name is Claire Harrison and I'm part of the team at Call Scotland, where my remit is for assistive technology for learners with complex needs. And just to kind of reiterate, questions are good. I like questions. Can't guarantee that I'll be able to answer them all, but if you do have a question about anything that we're exploring this afternoon, please do either pop your hand up using the wee hand icon or stick your question in the chat, and if I can, I will try and answer it. So what are we going to look at this afternoon? We've got an hour, we've got 60 minutes. So I've got a few tools that I would like to share with you that I hope will be of use and of interest to you who are working with learners who have complex needs. The kind of key that we're thinking about all of these activities in is creating personalised, motivating, fun learning activities, and really trying to think about how we can use the technology to its very best. Most of the tools that I'm going to share with you this afternoon are browser-based, depending on how we go for time. Most of them are free, but you will, just a kind of caveat that you will need to check with your local authority IT departments in terms of what's available to you wherever you are in Scotland. We are going to, if we've got time, have a look at a couple of bits of assistive technology hardware, kind of key classroom staples to have, and look at some free resources that are available for those as well. But that we'll see how we go for time. And I think the other thing that we want to really highlight this afternoon as well is that when we're talking about using assistive technology for learners who've got complex needs, it's not about just using the technology for technology's sake. We need to think, and we want to think really carefully about why we're using it and what we're going to do with it and when we're going to use it as well. So let's get stuck in. We're going to begin with a digital tool which will be all too familiar, I'm sure, to lots of you, but we're going to think very carefully about how we can use it effectively as a tool for supporting learning and a tool for supporting communication. And we're going to start off thinking about YouTube. So why, I guess, is the question to think about. Why would we want to think about using YouTube as a tool for learning and communication? Well, we know that the children and young people who we work with, for them, engagement is really, really important in terms of if we can engage them, we know that they're going to be far more able to learn. And for lots of the pupils that we work with, if they're having fun and the activities are based on their interests and their experiences, then they're more likely to be engaged and therefore more likely to learn with what we're doing. Another reason why we might want to think about using YouTube is it's free, and there's literally something for everyone. The array of topics that's available is just incredible. And in terms of setting up the technology to use it, it's relatively simple. You need a device that's connected to the internet, whether that's a tablet, a laptop, and you need a web browser to look at YouTube within. So that's some of the reasons why we might want to use it. Yes, it's great. Yes, there's lots of content on there that we know our learners would be really engaged with. But when we're thinking about using something like YouTube, and actually any digital content that we might be working on with our learners, we don't want it just to be a solitary, passive activity where our pupils are just sitting in front of a screen and consuming video after video. We need to create communication opportunities and learning opportunities built around their interest of these videos and this content. So we're going to look at these free tools which can support us to do that. Most of them will be familiar to you, I would expect, and with maybe a couple of new things. So you can use Google Slides and you can also use PowerPoint to create what are essentially video choice boards. This is something that we're asked about a lot as well, and it's something that I know families want to be able to do with their young people at home. So you can have your video choice board where essentially your learner clicks or taps on a picture symbol, or it could be a word, it could be a photograph, and then they're taken to a slide in Google Slides or in PowerPoint where a corresponding video will play. So if we're thinking about why we're using this technology and why we would want to create this activity, well, if we are working on choice-making skills with a learner and we present them carefully with some choices that we know they are really, really motivated by and some that they are less motivated by, we know that that's a nice scaffolded way of learning about choice making within the context of accessing digital technology. And we also know it's going to be engaging because it's the stuff in there that we like. I'm going to show you kind of step by step through Google Slides how you would do that. And I'm also going to show you how you can achieve the same thing using an iPad app called, a really brilliant iPad app called Bitsboard. I'm not going to take you step by step through that. I'm just going to kind of show you that it's possible to do it with Bitsboard. And then we're going to think about some other skills that we might want to learn and we might want to teach our pupils about using YouTube videos. So say you've got a learner who is working on their cause and effect skills or working on touch access skills and learning to get to the correct area of the screen to make something happen. Or maybe you've got a learner who uses switches to access technology and they're practicing using 2 switches to navigate, to switch scan through a menu of activities. Well, we can use YouTube videos to help us to do this, to create learning activities, and we can use that in conjunction with a brilliant website called Tar Heel Gameplay, and I'm going to show you exactly how that works and give you a wee idea of how you might want to use that. And then we're also going to have a wee look at another web-based tool called ThingLink, which I'm sure some of you will have heard of. With ThingLink, you can create a video choice board very similar to Google Slides and PowerPoint, but there are lots of other features in it. So we're going to use ThingLink as our kind of bridge into looking at some other different tools as well. So let's begin by thinking about how we do this in Google Slides. So it's quite nice. You can get the video to play within either Google Slides or PowerPoint, and the advantage of it from my point of view and from lots of people's point of view is that it cuts out all of that visual clutter and distraction that you get on the screen if you watch a YouTube video just on the YouTube page. You just get the video that's on there. If you need to make something that is switch accessible for your learners, you can do that in PowerPoint using the action buttons. As far as I'm aware, you can't do it in Google Slides, but I'm really happy to be corrected on that if that's not the case. If you want to find out how to do that, there's a link just at the bottom here to a blog post I did a wee while ago for Call that will show you a step-by-step video of how to set it up. And there's also a link to download a ready-made board as well. So you've kind of got something to try out with. But let's have a look. Let's have a look at how we would do making this video choice board in Google Slides. So I'm going to open up a Google slideshow, which I have already created. And I'm just going to go to this last slide here and just to show you what you need in order to do this. So I have got the links the long URL links that you would get from copying and pasting along the top here when you're in YouTube of 3 videos that I know my learner likes. Okay, so I've got my 3 video links, and you'll see that I have got 3 blank slides. So each video is going to go onto each slide. And in order to get to those blank slides, we are going to create a home page, which is here, and link these photographs to each of these pages. So this truck will link to this page here, this slide here, number 2, which will have the truck video on it, the car to slide number 3, the train to slide number 4. And this doesn't have to be, I've chosen to use picture communication symbols, PCS symbols for this. It doesn't have to be, it could be a word, it could be a photograph, it could be anything, but that's what we're going to use for our example here. So if we want to create this link between the lorry photograph and slide number 2, all we would do is click the little link button at the top here, which says insert link. And rather than pasting in a website, I'm just going to click on this little arrow where it says slides in this presentation, and I'm going to connect it to slide number 2, this one here. So I'm going to put slide 2 and click apply. So now I'm going to go into slide 2 once I have got my URL ready to paste. So I'm just going to right click and copy that. I'm going to go into slide 2, and now I'm going to put the video into slide 2. So we just click insert, video, and then paste it in. What's quite nice is because Google Slides and YouTube are the same company, it's relatively simple to do. I obviously didn't capture that, so I'm going to go back and get the URL again. Oh, I'm failing to get the last one. Right, that should hopefully do it. So let's copy, go back to slide 2, insert, video, paste. Yeah, and I've got an extra T, so I'm just going to get rid of that. Click search, and that's the video that I want. So I'm just going to click to select it and click select, and it will just get pasted in a box into my Google slide. I might want to make it a wee bit bigger, move it into the middle of the screen. And what I also might want to do is make sure that in terms of the learning task that my learner is going to have to do, I want them to only have to tap the lorry picture in order for the slideshow to start playing. I don't want them to have to start tapping anything else. So what I can do, this section of the screen over at the right here where it says video playback, it's thinking about it at the minute, but hopefully in a wee minute it will give me the option of just changing the box to start video playing automatically. So as soon as your learner goes to this slide, it starts playing. We'll leave it to think about it for a wee minute. And what I'm going to do though is just change the background to black. So it's all just a nice, clear, clutter-free interface. And that's us got our slide here. So that's fine. But once our learner is in this slide, they need to be able to get back to the start again because they might want to make a choice about another video. So that's where our shape comes in here. So all I did was just insert a shape using the arrows shape tool. And I'm going to click on here, copy it, paste it onto the bottom of my slideshow. And I'm going to use exactly the same idea as I did linking the lorry picture to the lorry video, but this time I'm going to link this shape back to the home page. So, first slide, click apply, and that's has got it now. Let's see, that's still not letting me do video playback, so we'll maybe have to do a couple of clicks for that. So let's have a look at what that looks like. If I click present, I'm going to stop presenting my other one, start presenting this one. So now, if I click on my lorry, there is my video. If I had been able to go in and click play automatically, it would start playing, but in this case I'm going to have to click play again. And then if I want to get back, I just tap or click on the other one. So it's a really nice way of simply creating videos for choice making, and it's basically the same idea, exactly the same idea, to do that in PowerPoint as well. So that's one way we can do it, but as I said, there are other ways. So I'm going to see if I can get my iPad to talk to my computer, and it's not been talking to my computer for much of today, so let me just do that. And while I'm doing that, does anyone have any questions at any point so far?
There's no questions in the chat, Claire, at the moment.
Okay, thanks, Fran. So let's have a wee look. So I had said that we can have a wee look at this app called Bitsboard. So Bitsboard, it's a fantastic app. You can do all sorts of brilliant things with it. Basically takes a set of images, a set of photographs, a set of words, a set of maths calculations, and turns them into learning games. There are various options in terms of getting Bitsboard. There is a free version, and which you can do lots and lots of things with. It just means probably the biggest issue with it is you can't share activities that you've made between iPads, unfortunately. But there are other options as well. The QR code that is on the screen there, just here, that links to the free version of Bitsboard. So if you've got a smartphone, you can open the camera app, point it at that QR code, and it will take you straight to the App Store to get the Bitsboard app. So let's have a look at what it would look like if we were going to do our video choice board in Bitsboard. So I've already made a nursery rhymes, a nursery songs app. I can see someone's asking if you can get it on Android, and unfortunately you can't. It's only an iOS app, which is a shame. So I'm going to select an activity I've got. If you'll see here, it says 10 green bottles. I've got some number song videos. So I'm going to select that. Once you've selected the set of photographs or the set of video that you want to use, you've then got the option of creating lots of different kinds of games with them. But we want to essentially have a video choice board. So I'm going to select this explore game here, and it's going to give it to us. And here I've got links to 5 number rhyme songs, and if I select one, I tap to play it. And then again, so it's 2 taps to play that. So that's a consideration. You've got a learner with access skills who's maybe working on them. You might want to use the Google Slides option, where you just do 1 tap. But you get the idea. To get rid of the video, just tap and it will take you back to the home screen again. So Bitsboard, really super wee app, and that's another way that we can use video choice boards. Okay, moving on. We're going to think now about a really super website called Tar Heel Gameplay, and we can do lots and lots with Tar Heel Gameplay. You can use absolutely any video on YouTube. You can basically add pauses which will speak aloud, and you can also close YouTube videos down, return back to Tar Heel Gameplay, and make another choice. So we can use it in lots of different ways, even just on a very simple learning about cause and effect skills, listening to a really favourite bit of music, and it then stops after a few seconds, and there's a pause that says, do you want more? And pressing play again. So you could have a learner accessing it on an interactive whiteboard, tapping it. It could be on an iPad device or a tablet device, tapping it on the screen. You could have a switch interface box connected to the screen, and they could be using a switch to use it. There's lots of different access ways. The key thing really to remember with Tar Heel Gameplay is it works best in the Chrome browser. So you can use it on an iPad, but make sure that you're using the Chrome browser. And again, whether it's a desktop computer or a laptop computer, use Chrome and everything should work as you would want it to. Yeah, so as I said, you can create a sort of switch accessible choice menu, which is really nice in Tar Heel Gameplay as well. And that's if you've got a learner who's using 2 switches, and I'll show you what that looks like in a wee minute. If you want to do that, you would need to be using the favourites feature in Tar Heel Gameplay. So if you do that, you're then going to need to set up an account so you can create a page of favourites. It's really simple to do that. The email address is on the screen there. There's a special registration code that you need. It's entirely free to sign up, and then you can create an account. Can I just ask, has anyone who's here in the meeting heard of Tar Heel Gameplay, or are you using it with your learners at all at the minute? Just while I go onto the screen. Just type in the chat if a yes or no if you are. So it's new to a couple of you, new to a few of you. Okay. Lots of no's. Right. So this is Tar Heel. I'm logged in, and I'm going to show you what I meant by pauses. It puts pauses in YouTube videos which speak aloud. So I'm going to go to my gameplays, which I've got saved, and I'm going to go to Super Simple Songs, because I think this has got quite a nice quick pause, so we don't have to watch too much of it before it's going to pause. So let's have a look at it here. I've just realised I changed it. I'm afraid I'm going to give you Baby Shark, not Super Simple Songs. So let me just go into here. So you are able, within Tar Heel Gameplay, to get any video playing that's on YouTube and add prompts. So this could just be more Baby Shark. I've put 2 in here, and if I toggle between them, so if you imagine I've got a switch connected, a switch interface box connected to my PC, I'm pressing one switch that's connected to space, and it's going to do this. And it will read them aloud. And then if I want to make that choice, I can then press the switch that's connected to enter on my switch interface box. So I'm going to do that now, and it just keeps playing. And I'll show you what happens in a wee minute if we select that something else option. Okay, let's leave Baby Shark for a moment, and let me show you how simple it is to make something. I'm going to go back to my gameplays again. I'm going to go to Super Simple Songs, and I'm going to edit it. So all I have done in exactly the same way that I did with the Google Slides video choice board is I have copied the long URL and I have pasted it in here, in this box here. And now I can, on this very basic version, say how often I want it to pause. So I can have it paused however many seconds, so we could go all the way to the end of the song if we wanted to. It depends on where your learner's at in terms of their learning about cause and effect, what motivates them, etc. So let's go for just 5 seconds, and we'll ask, and it's going to ask the question, more singing, so we can test this out. So after 5 seconds, we'll get our more singing prompt. There we go. And if we want more singing, we just click or tap or press our switch to say, yes, we do. So really, really simple to use. You'll see it opens in a new tab. So I'm just going to close that down, go back, and I'm going to show you how we can turn it into something that's Switch accessible using the favourites menu. If we go to the home page, we'll see all of the Tar Heel gameplays that other people have created and published. If you create Tar Heel gameplays of your own, with your own YouTube videos and your own sets of prompts, you don't have to publish them. If you do publish them, they appear on here and they're just in chronological order. So it just depends on what people have been making this afternoon in terms of what's on there. If I want to, say, make a page of favourites with my learner, and I've made and published a set of gameplays of songs that I know they really, really like, I can use the text to search for those gameplays here, and then I can scroll and find them. And if I click on the heart icon, I can then press on any of these and it will give me my favourites page. So say if I select at random, someone's been very busy this afternoon, I can see, making lots and lots of these with block capitals. So that's me, I've added four things to my favourites. And if I go now, I'm going to click on this little icon up here and go to my favourites page. We'll see here are my favourites. So I've already got one in there. That's the Baby Shark More Finish one that we just looked at. But here are the favourites that I've just added. So now, if you imagine I've got my switch interface box, my learner's got their two switches, one connected to space, one connected to enter, and now we can toggle through these and it's going to read them aloud to me. So I'm going to press space. So if I keep pressing space, it's going to go through them. And you'll see there that that's a good reminder about we need to be mindful of what we're naming things and what we're calling things, particularly if we want our learners to be selecting them and going through and scrolling through and getting them themselves. I'm now selected enter, so with my second switch enter, it's going to start playing. So now we're back to this prompt menu again. This time I'm going to select something else and you'll see where it takes us back to. So we're right back to the favourites page. So our learner can keep going and scroll through and listen to something different. So by using those two tools, by using the more or something else, and using the favourites page, we can create basically like a kind of musical jukebox on YouTube that a learner could potentially access entirely by themselves. So that would be a really super skill to learn. So there's lots we could do about Tar Heel gameplay. We're kind of tight for time, so I'm not going to go through and show you the exact how you would do it with creating an advanced gameplay, but that should hopefully give you a wee idea. You can go and have a look at the website and see what's on there. People are always creating things, so there's always something new on there, and it can be really handy for other ideas as well. Okay, yes.
So just say, Angie Smith's got a question. Where do you go to set up the switch access?
Well, that's the really nice thing, Angie. You don't. All you do is you plug your switch box in, and if it's one of your USB plug and play switches, it's one of those things that just sort of magically works. You plug it in and you'll then be able, as long as you've got it connected to space and enter, you'll be absolutely fine to go with that. The other thing I should say as well, if I can find it, if you want if you want to move the prompts, the yellow box prompts around the screen, you can go into settings. So I just clicked on settings there in the menu, and I can click on move prompts. So if I have that turned on, rather than the yellow prompt box always coming up in the middle of the screen, it will then randomly appear top left, bottom right. So that can be a nice bit of scaffolding if you want to be working on access skills for a learner who's using touch to access a screen and you want them to become more accurate with where they're pressing with things. And you can turn the speech on and off in those settings as well. Any other questions about Tar Heel gameplay before we move on? Don't think there's anything else in the chat there. Okay, great. Right, so last one that we're going to look at in terms of making video choice boards is ThingLink. And we're going to kind of use ThingLink to scaffold onto other things. Now, for some of you, and again, it will depend which local authority you're in, you may be able to access ThingLink within Teams in the apps section. The left-hand side of the screen on Teams, there's a wee apps tab. Not everyone is able to access it, but some of you may well be able to get to ThingLink from within there. If you can't, don't worry. You just type thinglink.com into a web browser and you can access it from within that, and you can sign up for free. And it's free up to a point. It's free up to what it calls 1,000 clicks. So that's 1,000 times that someone will click on the links that you put in your resources. You're able to access it free. It's a nice one if you've got, say, a video choice board or maybe some of the other things that we're going to look at that you want to share with a family. You can just share the URL with them and they're able to access it. They don't need to be signed up to anything. They don't need to be signed in. They can just go in and use it. I know lots of folks were using it for creating their own interactive classrooms back when we all switched to online learning at the start of this school year. So there's some really nice examples of it around, but we're going to think about how we can create some really simple interfaces in ThingLink and really kind of utilize the tools that are available in there. So I'm just going to click on one that I have already made, and you'll see it's a very similar idea to what we've been looking at. So this is a video choice board, a nursery rhymes video choice board. You'll see that there are pulsing numbers, and that is the clickable thing that you would click to open them up. These are screenshots that were placed onto a blank Google slide, and I just took a screenshot of the Google slide and entered it as the background. But I'll show you how we do that in a wee second. And if I click on one of these pulses, you'll see that the YouTube video appears and we can play it within there. So it's really simple to do. I'm just going to go to ThingLink and show you. How we would do that. Is anyone using ThingLink at the minute with their learners, or have you used it when you've been doing online learning? No, so definitely new to some of you. So I've clicked edit here. Eva, yeah, I would expect you to have been using it before. Yeah, so a couple of you have, a couple of you haven't. Okay, so I think there's some really nice possibilities with ThingLink. You know, you can use it in a really simple way here by adding tags into things. But what we can also do is use it as a way to share more interactive elements with our learners as well. So I'm going to show you an example. This is our kind of just basic board, and it's very simple. If we wanted to add another YouTube video onto here, we just click add tag and then add content from website, and then we just put our URL in here. I think if I got a YouTube URL on there, let me go in and get one from here. We'll see if we can get this one to work. I don't think that code's going to be long enough. Okay, so let's go to YouTube. YouTube for simple songs. Just the chimes of Super Simple Songs. I'm sure they're very familiar to lots of you. Okay, so I've got my URL. So I'm going to paste it in. Add content from website. That's it there. Yep. And I can change the icon. So I might want to put number, or I might just want to put, say, a YouTube icon in here. A play YouTube icon. There we go. And that's done. So now we'll see that it has dropped in there. And that is my next link. So if I click on that, there's the image, well, the video that I just pasted in. What you will be thinking is, well, where has the photograph gone of here? Well, that's one of the things you can do with ThingLink. You basically create things as backgrounds. So this whole background was just a screenshot that I took of a Google slide, and I placed all the photographs, the screenshots of Super Simple Songs on there. So you can use the snipping tool, the W Shift and S tool on your computer if you're using a laptop or a desktop. Open up the snipping tool and then just drag it across the screen to save it as a photo, and you can insert it as a background. So we can use it as a video choice board, but we can also do some other interactive things with it. So let's have a look. This is, again, exactly the same idea. I've got my background here, and then I have used some screenshots of picture communication symbols to create a schedule. So this is the sort of thing that I might want to be doing with a learner who's maybe still learning primarily at home, or something that they could be doing as a task with their family at home, or something that they might want to do in the classroom as well. So same as before, I've got some song content behind here. It's another YouTube video. It's an Andy Piddick song, the Monday song. So we can click and the learner can open that and play that on a Monday. But then we can start to add some other tools in. So this section here, this link is going to open to some instructions. So this says, how are you today? Click the button to open the Jamboard. So what we're now going to do is introduce some other Google tools in this to give us more interactivity within it. So if I click here to open Jamboard, this is a Jamboard that I have created, and it's one that's got editor permission on it as well, so that anyone who's got the link is able to go in it. And again, I'm using the same thing. I've created my background, and I've got my JPEGs of my picture communication symbols, and then we can drag them along if we want to do a feelings check-in, how are you doing today, that kind of thing. We can move them around. If we want to, we can add post-it notes, and we can type how we're feeling into it. So it's a really nice interactive way of doing a feelings check-in with your learners. It could be something that they're doing in a group together, or it could just be an individual one-on-one. So that's one way, that's one tool that we can use. Google Jamboard is available as an iOS app for iPads, or you can just use it in your browsers as well. So it's nice and simple to use. And if we go back to the next one, so we've done our feelings check-in, we've done our Monday song, now we're going to think about what the weather is today. So if we click on here, one of the other nice features about ThingLink is it uses Immersive Reader. So that gives us some nice text-to-speech, reading things out to us, and it's just going to think about that for a minute. I'm going to click play. Okay, and if we go back, we can open our diary. So this time it's going to link to a Google form, which rather than just having text on it, again, I've entered some picture communication symbols to make it more accessible and to make it more understandable for the learner that we're working with. So here's our question, what's the weather today? And we can go down and select, well, if I'm going to speak for Midlothian, and it's definitely cloudy in Midlothian, and we can add that in. It's really simple if you want to add the pictures in. If I go to option 2 here to show you, so I'm just kind of in the editing mode of this rather than the doing the form, just click on add image, and then you can go in to your photographs, and wherever you've got it stored, you can go in and add. So really simple to do within Google Forms. So if we go back to our Monday, you can also link this to other Google Slide presentations if you want to. So what I've got on here is one of the Pete Wells sensory stories. I've imported one of his PowerPoints into Google Slides. So if I want my learner to go off and have a look at that presentation, have a look at that story, they're able to do that and just do it from within ThingLink, which is really, really nice. So there's lots of different features in ThingLink. I like the fact that it's really easy to share with families. You would just copy this link at the top here and send that to them, and then they'd just be able to click on it and go in and have a look at what's in there. And it's designed so that it's accessible on a phone, on a tablet, or on a computer. So it doesn't matter what device you're on when you're accessing it. I realise we've kind of rushed through that, but I kind of want to get to a couple of other things to share with you. But hopefully this is just sort of flagging up things that are there and available that you can use. Any questions about ThingLink before we move on?
It doesn't end particular about ThingLink, but a couple about YouTube, and we've answered them. Thanks.
Yeah. I can see someone was asking, how do you stop YouTube videos playing one after the other? But yes, I'm glad someone was able to do that. That's just that wee bit of information about ThingLink and Google Jamboard and Google Forms. No worries, Eva, about the feedback. That's just one of the joys of microphones and and doing things online, isn't it? Okay, so that's all been lots of digital things, lots of digital tools we've looked at this afternoon, things that we would look at on a screen. Let's have a think about some digital tools which we can print and are paper-based, and how we might want to use them. Leah, I'm not sure how much it is after 1,000 clicks. There is information, it is quite clear, I think, on their website what the pricing is on that, so I'm sure you'll be able to get that on the ThingLink website. I do think 1,000 clicks is a lot. You'd be clicking a lot of times before you go up to it. Okay, so I want to just flag up, in case any of you aren't aware, about some free printable symbol resources that are available to absolutely anyone to use with your learners. So for the last over 10 years, Coles worked with Scottish Book Trust to create free symbol resources which go along with the books which are in the BookBug Picture Book Prize books, which are sent out in the P1 family bags every autumn. So are any of you who are in here working in Primary 1 today, or kind of early years staff who are aware of BookBug and the Picture Book Prize? Yeah. Okay, Lorraine, so you're aware of it. Yeah. Fab. So it's a very well-known thing. It's a great thing. The stuff that Scottish Book Trust does is just brilliant. They're all about instilling a love of reading into children and young people in Scotland, and the fact that the children can get these 3 books every autumn is great. So what we do to make these more accessible is we create symbol resources to go with each of the books in order to facilitate shared reading, something called shared reading. And we also make accessible digital copies of the books so that learners with print disabilities are able to access and read the books independently. So I'm going to first of all show you an example of the printable resources, and then I'm going to just flag up where you would get the digital books from. I'm actually going to show you the printable resources on a piece of technology. If you remember, I said, well, maybe we'll have a look at some hardware and some free resources to go on it. I'm just going to show you this on my camera. So what I have got here, which you can hopefully see, this is a laminated communication shared reading symbol supported board, which you can print off, and I'll show you the link in a wee minute, to use when you're sharing books, when you're sitting down reading, either as a class reading the book together, or reading in a small group, or reading one-to-one. So the idea is that there is key vocabulary, sort of personalised to each story, but with core common words that you would find in lots of different contexts. So as you're reading the story together, you can point to the different symbolated vocabulary that's on there, and you can practice joining words together to make sentences. You can reinforce key concepts about the story. So for example, this is the symbol overlay for a fantastic story from last year's picture book prize called Sophie Johnson, Unicorn Expert. And Sophie loves unicorns. So we can have all these conversations about the text, and we can support what we're saying by pointing to symbols at the same time. So these 9 symbols here are kind of core words, characters in the text, things that might happen in the story. And the 3 phrases along the top are repeated lines or repeated comments that a learner could make about the story, pretty much at any point in the story. So in the story of Sophie Johnson and the Unicorn, it all gets very messy. So we could say, what a mess. Oh no, it's not a unicorn, it's toys. So we can create some really nice, simple sentences and do a lot of nice scaffolding by using the symbol vocabulary. So you can print these off and you can stick them on the inside back cover of the book, and so you can fold them open and have them there when you're reading and sharing the physical book together. Or if you have one of these, which is called a GoTalk 9 Plus, it's a simple battery-operated communication device. I'll just show you, it goes on the back there. We can slip this overlay into the top of the GoTalk, and now if I press on the buttons, it's going to speak it back to me. I'm going to turn the volume up in the hope that you might be able to hear this.
Sophie. Love. Unicorn.
So we can have all these shared reading experiences, we can be modelling the language, and we can have our learner with the GoTalk pressing along with us. And using this vocabulary, we can scaffold things depending on the level that they're working at. We might just want to focus on 1 or 2 key phrases in the text, or we might want to start scaffolding whole sentences for our learners as well. This is a GoTalk 9 Plus. It's pretty robust. I've put some links here on the slide to where you can purchase them from. I see someone asking, do you have to be in a school in Scotland to access the BookBug resources? Really good question, Angie. Absolutely anybody can access these symbolised resources. You don't need to be in a school in Scotland. If you want a digital copy of the accessible book, then yes, you do. That's limited to education professionals in Scotland, but the symbol resources are free for absolutely anybody to use. I'm just going to show you one other kind of symbol resources that we've got, and then I'll show you where you can get them all from. So we make these overlays for the GoTalks, but we also make overlays and labels for simple one-button communication devices. So things for Big Macs. Let me just get my picture back. There we are. So If you have a learner who's working at a much earlier level and you want to really kind of scaffold and simplify the learning about having that shared reading experience, you could give them one of these devices. This is a sort of Big Mac style device, and you can just have one message on it. Oh no! So you can record absolutely anything that you want on there, and then that learner can be joining in with the story at the key points in the story. There are also labels that we provide on the BookBug page, which I'll show you, which just have turn the page. So you can just even give that repeated task of a learner being in charge of saying when you turn the page. That's quite a powerful thing to give a learner to do, and you can have a lot of good fun with it. One wee point I just want to make about Big Macs and these other talking buttons. This on the Symbols for All website, which is where you get all of these, we call these Big Mac labels, but you might notice that this device is actually a big step-by-step, and just I want to flag up the key differences. With a step-by-step, you're able to record more than one message. You can record a sequence of messages, whereas on a Big Mac, you can just record one message, which is great, and that might be all that you need it for. However, step-by-steps and other multi-message devices they're slightly more expensive than just the Big Macs one button devices, but if you can, I would suggest it's always worth going for the step-by-step, because you're opening up a whole world of other communication opportunity possibilities if you use the step-by-step. A really nice thing to do with step-by-steps is to record half of a knock-knock joke on it and have your learner tell the knock-knock joke, so you can get some great social interaction practice by using it. There's lots and lots of other different things that you can use the step-by-step for, reading recipes out, reading out instructions, etc. So there's a lot of possibilities around with those. So where would you get these symbolized labels from and other things? Well, I'm going to click onto the Symbols for All website, which is one of our Call Scotland websites, and I'm going to click on the BookBug tab at the end here. And if I scroll down to the bottom, this is where we get all the symbolized resources. So this is the current year, and this is the archive, and I think there's about 9 or 10 years worth of resources going back, so it's a huge amount of stuff that you're able to get access to. And if I scroll down, you'll see here are the books for this year. My First Book of Birds, This is a Dog, I think that was the winner, and there's the Big Mac symbols. So that's a PDF, so you can just download that and print it off. There's Little Mac symbols as well, so if you've got a smaller device, you can print those off, because the Big Mac ones might be too big. And there's the Go Talk overlay there, okay? So that's something that you can just print off and use, or you can use it with a Go Talk as well. We do lots of other resources to go along with BookBugs. We've got some clicker writing sets. There are eye gaze versions of things. There's also versions of these storyboards in the fantastic free Sounding Board communication app. So Sounding Board is an app made by AbleNet, who are the company who make these Big Macs and other things. So I'm just going to very quickly show you what they look like. So you can see. So this is another free app called Sounding Board. And this is the Sophie Johnson Unicorn Expert Board. I'm just going to show you, that's the kind of main page. I've got all these boards which I've downloaded from Symbols from All, from the BookBug tab. If I go into Sophie Johnson Unicorn Expert, and now they will speak aloud to me. So I'm going to tap on What a Mess. So you can have lots of fun using them in conjunction with the books. We also have voting pages and general shared reading pages, so you can use either the Sounding Board app or the Go Talk sheet to vote for your favourite, with symbol supports for communication supports as well. There's lots and lots of different options. The books themselves are available, as I said, for education staff in Scotland from our Books for All website. And there are lots of different kinds of books. Don't really have time to show you them today, but there are PowerPoint books for learners who access things with switches. There's a different kind of PowerPoint book that you can use on an interactive whiteboard. There's a version of the book that uses Keynote for iPads. That's basically like the kind of iOS version of PowerPoint. We've also started in the last couple of years as well making eye gaze accessible versions of the books, because lots of the learners we support at COL are using Grid 3 software, so we've made some versions using that, and there's also versions for the last couple of years using Grid for iPad, which is another iOS app. I would suggest that the best place to go and find what's available in terms of the books is you use this poster here. So this is a COL poster. The link is on the bottom, and I can see, Jenny, thank you, you're posting those links into the chat there. That's great. If you go onto the COL website and you download the poster, I did have it downloaded. Yes, this is it here. All of these little icons here, and I'm going to zoom in so you can see them. These are all clickable links. So this tells you which versions of the books are available. So here we've got, there's a bear on my chair. I can see there's a Keynote version. There's the version of the PowerPoint version, which you can use and listen to the phrases again and again and again. And there's the PowerPoint Switch accessible version. So all I would do is click on the Switch accessible one if I wanted it. That's the book there, and then I would need to log into Books for All, so you need a Books for All account to be able to use these books, but I would be able to log in and download it and use it with my learner who's got a print disability. So there's lots and lots of possibilities there. We could do a whole session actually just on these resources. There's some great stuff there, but hopefully that's given you a few wee ideas. We are rapidly running out of time. Does anyone have any questions about any of the BookBug resources? Just while I go on to the next slide. Nope. Someone asking, do you have the P2 BookBugs? No, just the P1. Just the P1 and the Explorer Nursery resources we've done this year as well. So you'll be able to get the Explorer resources from that BookBug tab on Symbols for All, and the P1 BookBug Picture Book Prize resources. Okay, so just really quickly want to flag up just before we finish. COL, we have a sort of whole professional learning programme that runs throughout the year. We do free webinars, usually every second Wednesday during term time. They're just half an hour long. If you can be there live, you have the opportunity to ask questions, but if you can't, not to worry, because we always upload them all to our YouTube channel, and just the way that Eva's going to do with this session this afternoon. We've got some great folks coming along. We've got a few left of this session. Joanna Grace is going to be doing a webinar for us next Wednesday about making decisions around when to introduce a new sensory story. Then Alan, who's one of the COL team, is a couple of weeks later. We'll be doing one on a really nice wee app called Seeing AI, which can be useful for people who've got visual difficulties or literacy difficulties. And then I think the last one of our session, again, someone else from the COL team, Craig, will be looking at how we can use PowerPoint for creatively with learners who've got additional support needs. So there's a huge variety of stuff that we do. We also have a programme of courses which runs throughout the year, kind of live 90-minute sessions that give you access to lots of other resources as well, kind of how-to guides, and you also get a recording of the session once you've done. And we also do training for individual schools as well. we've also got coming up this summer term our annual ASL and Technology Conference. It's just £5. It's all online this year, and there's a huge variety of speakers from different companies, but also practitioners from all over Scotland. So please do go and have a look at the website there if you want to see the programme, and I think you'll get a good idea of just exactly how varied it is and what's going on there. If you've got any questions, because I know we have rushed through a lot during this session, that's my contact details up on the screen there. If you haven't already, I would suggest signing up for the call newsletter, the monthly newsletter. You get lots of information from there, and or following Call on Twitter if you do Twitter, or follow the Facebook page as well. We post everything on both of those pages. That's a good way to keep up to date with what's going on. Does anyone have any other questions? No.
Maybe while we give people just a quick wee few seconds to think there, Claire, I'll just maybe mention at this point that we do have an evaluation form as well. And just when you're finished there with that slide, oh, there's Jenny's done it for us. Thank you, Jenny. Jenny has popped the link on. It won't take you any longer than 2 minutes maximum. And it's really, really, really useful if you could please complete the evaluation form for us, because these sessions that we deliver need to meet your needs. And, you know, we only know what they are if you can tell us how you found the session and what you would like to know next. So please do, if you can make the time, click on that link and fill the evaluation in for us. Thanks. Okay, I don't think there's any more questions coming in there at all. I don't think we've missed any either. We've all kind of had our eyes on the comments during the session. So thank you, a huge thank you, Claire, for sharing all that invaluable information. I learned absolutely loads there as well. I wasn't even aware of Bitsboard, so that's one that really caught my attention there, so I'm going to go and have a wee look at that. Tar Heel gameplay as well, just having the option to be able to pause a video, pause for thought and then, make that choice. I didn't know you could do that either, so it's been really, really a super learning session, and I'm sure everyone will agree too. So thanks so much. We have the recording, the raw recording there, not